Welcome back to another modern video. Today I'm going to be playing a Eldrazi Tron list. This was played by Derrick Davis at the PT. He went 7-3 with it. So yeah, I've been really liking this list, and let's hop into a league. All right, we're in for round one. I think this is a mulligan. Yeah, just not enough mana there. This hand I think is a keep. I've got this Devourer of Destiny I can put back in All's Dust. And then this Devourer of Destiny will hopefully find me the missing piece to this hand, which I think if I see a Talisman, I'm probably keeping that. And then other than that, oh, I guess a second Ugin's Labyrinth also works. I will accept. So let's go for that. So let's see what my opponent is on. Could be a prowess list, or it could just be Ruby Storm, depending on what they're playing. Okay, so it looks like a prowess list with that show off. So in that case, I'm going to be playing the ring here. With Slickshot plotted, then there is a chance I could just die from 19 here. So delaying that for a turn at least is definitely where I want to be. Okay, Underworld Cookbook. And then not really picking up much there. So I could, let's see, let's go to the Karn board. I could Karn for something, but not really be able to cast it. I think the main thing would be maybe a Tormod's Crypt that would stop these channelers from hitting Delirium. Which, I mean, I don't necessarily hate that, given that I don't have too many other decent options. So yeah, why don't I think I'm gonna go for that. I think I probably also just want to get Cookbook down this turn. I can discard probably a map end of turn and just get a food that will hopefully keep me alive. Really would love to have been able to get like a Trinisphere this turn, but unfortunately mana does not line up that well. Okay, so my opponent has Lava Dart. It looks like they're playing the prowess list from the PT. Okay, so they've got show off here. Do I crack the crypt? I think so. Just get the Lava Dart out of the way, and then it doesn't necessarily guarantee that they won't have Delirium, but it does make it harder. Okay, scale up is not what I want to see. Wow, and then they're back to 3 types already. Legion Leadership, alright, well. Actually, did not matter what I got that turn. That is, I mean, that's the reason to play Prowess. You've got a crazy fast clock, and decks like Tron are not really equipped to beat it in their current iterations. I think I'm probably just bringing in all 4 Trinispheres, and then let's see, maybe trimming an Emrakul. I just think that I just want a Trinisphere as fast as possible, and having to wait to get it off Karn is not really going to be that helpful. It's kind of an interesting hand. This would be a turn 2 Trinisphere if I had a 7-drop. And as it stands, I just don't think it's fast enough. Fortunately, I think this hand is a mulligan as well. Just 1 land. And not really... probably not going to be able to find much. Okay, so I do find a turn 2 Trinisphere with my 5-card hand. So I can put Cookbook to the bottom. Then the question is, do I want to keep the Kozilek's Command or do I want to keep the One Ring? Kozilek's Command is guaranteed that I can cast it. One Ring, I'll need to top deck a land. But I think I'll probably keep the One Ring. Definitely has a higher upside than Kozilek's Command. So exile Eldrazi, pass turn. See how fast my opponent's start is. Going with the Channeler again. Okay, well this should slow things down a little bit here. With drawing this Karn, I do regret putting the Kozilek's Command a little bit. I could have exiled this Channeler and gotten an Eldrazi spawn. Yeah, now I'm kind of stuck on lands. Yeah, it is the way things go. Alright, well, the Trinispheres are doing their job, though. The Karns are not doing their job. They're showing up at the wrong time. Okay, Monstrous Rage. That does increase the clock quite a bit. Okay, found a land. I think... this is a bit of a weird play, but I think I'm going to play a Karn and then plus on a Trinisphere. I think if they can kill my... or if they can get Delirium, they can kill my Karn. But if they can't find it, then I get to keep my Karn alive. And even if they do kill it, then Karn just soaks, 6 damage here. Okay, so they didn't find Delirium. See if they want to send this 2/2 double strike at Karn. I just don't attack at all. I mean, that turned out even better than I could have ever hoped. So now that I've got a Karn and a bunch of mana, I'm probably okay with just grabbing a Chalice here. That seems like... probably that's just going to be the best solution. So, cast X is 1. And then pay an extra 1 is really weird with Trinisphere. I'm just making sure that my correct costs were paid. Don't accidentally put it on 2 or something. So they can attack my Karn down to 1. Okay, so they did find Delirium. It is a lot of damage coming in. Karn goes down. That's okay. He did his job for sure. I think between this 4 damage that he soaked up and the plusing on Trinisphere, he already gained about like 7 life. Actually, no, more like 9, 10 life. And then on top of that, got a Chalice in play. I think I'm going to go for a 1 ring here. With the Delirious Channelers, I am just dead to a Bolt here. And I don't have enough mana to do 2 things with Karn. Emrakul is not really that great here. I've got not really anywhere close to enough mana. So I'm down to 9. Okay, Power Plant is good. Slowly finding Tron here. Okay, so I've got 4, 5, 6 mana. Kind of an annoying amount of mana since I can't cast much of anything. Yeah, unfortunately these Trinispheres are locking me a little bit off of getting Tron for a Tormod's Crypt or something. And I didn't find another land, so I guess I'm just dead here. 7 damage here and then 2 off the ring. Well, that was a quick match. Hopefully you'll find a bit of a slower deck of round 2. Alright, back with round 2. I'm going to be keeping this hand. I've got turn 3 Tron plus a couple of Devourers to be finding everything that I need, hopefully. Let's see, after that turbo round 1, let's see my opponent is trying to move quick too, or trying to slow things down a bit. Alright, so I could keep just the power plant here. Kind of interesting. I could also just keep the One Ring. I think that's probably what I'm going to do, since I already have a way to get the power plant off the map. And let's see. So I could keep Karn or Kozilek's Command, in addition to potentially keeping the One Ring. I think I'm going to go for the ring again. I mean, it's just too strong to pass up, I think. Okay, opponent just plays a land and passes. We'll kind of wonder what deck they're on right now. It could be the Dimir Murktide list. Though I think against a list like this, it's probably correct to just crack this now. Don't know if they're playing a Tidebinder, but having them counter my expedition map is not really how I want to find out. Bowmaster's end of turn is pretty fine for me. I mean, I've got Devourer of Destiny coming soon. That was a Spell Pierce. And take 2. Fair enough. Alright. Well, see if they have a counterspell or something. Gonna exile the Bowmasters, make this ring a bit better. Yeah, the exchange is so sweet with with Devourer. It's just like okay, I'll exile your creature, and then you can spend your premium removal spell on the 6/6 half of it, which is definitely not the reason to be playing Devour. But you also can't just let it resolve, so it just really feels like a a win-win situation for me. Let's see. I might go for the ring here. Kind of want to see if they'll play out a Murktide or something that I can devour. Doesn't look like that's the case. They don't even have another Bowmasters. I'm gonna take this all as dust, and then I can play these. So then next turn I have 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mana. So if I draw any land, I can cast an Emrakul. Seems pretty good to me. Opponent is still just passing the turn. Okay, well I did draw any land, and it's actually the best land. Let's see if I can bait out a Bowmaster here. No Bowmaster, but I did draw a Cookbook, which means that I'll be able to instant speed Emrakul and get a food out of the deal. So I can just pass turn here, let them do whatever end step shenanigans they want. Just take one off the army. Play a Psychic Frog? Sure, I'd love to have a Psychic Frog. Psychic Frog is really sweet. I really want to... I haven't played a deck with a Psychic Frog in it yet, but I really would like to. Every time I play against it, it just seems awesome. So, well, I didn't get my chance to attack with the Psychic Frog this game, but I think, especially since I don't know what they're playing, I'm going to be swapping these Stone Brains out for Trinispheres, running it like that. That's definitely the main thing that you do with sideboarding in this deck, is just you check to see if you want Stone Brains or you want Trinispheres, and then you swap those in and out. And you always have these 12 cards pretty much as Karn targets. And then it's just these three. Sometimes they're Stone Brains, sometimes they're Trinispheres. And then it all just depends on what matchup you're playing in. Sometimes I'll trim something, bring in a Karn target that, like if I bring in, for instance, I'm playing like a Tron Mirror, I'll trim an All Dust for like a Cityscape level or something like that. But I mean, really, that's not the main plane of the deck. So I've got turn 1 Talisman. I think I'm going to keep this. I can go turn 1 Talisman, and I've got a Devour to try to find a Ring or Karn. See if I can cast one of those on turn 2. And, if not, then I've got Expedition Map. I can start getting Tron assembled and all that. Opponent has a Preordain turn 1. Pretty okay with that, not... My plan is definitely to go bigger, so... Alright, well, I will keep a ring. Exile All's Dust. Cast a Talisman. Use a Talisman to cast a Expedition Map. Pretty good turn 1. See what my opponent can come up with. It is a bit interesting into their 2 mana here. Do I ever hold the ring to try to play around a counterspell here? And honestly, I don't think so. I mean, next turn I can just correct the map, finish out Tron, and then the turn after I'll have a bunch of mana. So Just get the counterspell out of the hand. And you know, really with this, I feel like with this matchup, you know, they've only got 4 actual counterspells, and then, you know, I'm sure they have consigned memory and stuff, but we're running them low on those types of cards. So Temple doesn't do anything for me here in terms of mana, so I'm just gonna go ahead. Just gonna go ahead and crack this. Grab the mine. And then next turn I'll have 10 mana. So I can devour if they go for a Murktide or something like that. Bowmaster's looking like a devour target for sure. And then the turn after I'll have Emrakul mana, so okay, consider. Puts a subtlety into their graveyard. I mean, subtlety seems solid here. I wonder if that means that they are looking for a 4th land, especially the fact that they were doing this main phase. It does look like they missed their land drop. Alright, well, I've got Tron. I've got 7 mana. And I've got a Devourer of Destiny. Let's see if they have a Consigned to Memory. Doesn't look like it. Do they have a counterspell? Okay, well, they did have a Consigned to Memory, and they just decided to let their Bowmasters go. It's a bold move. Probably not what I would have done, but it is certainly a play. I would, if they play another creature here, I'll happily cast this Emrakul. Okay, yes, I will happily be casting this Emrakul. Hopefully they don't have another Consigned to Memory, because that would make things a bit awkward. But it's going to be awkward either way, so I'm going to make it as sweet as possible for me to win if they don't have it. Do you have it? Do I get 21 power? Fetching out a basic. Just a counterspell. Alright, well, I will accept that trade. 12 mana. You cast a counterspell, and then I get an 8/8 flyer and a 1/1. I accept that any day of the week. Not really sure how I feel about this new Summoning Sickness animation. Maybe I'm just used to the old one, but it really caught me off guard when I first saw it. Alright, so I'm gonna just go ahead and fire this guy off. Okay, there we go. Going on to match number 3. Alright, back for round 3. We were able to bounce back off of the prowess loss round 1. This is kind of an interesting hand. I've got the Labyrinth. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep this. I've got the Devourer, and I think that's going to really bring this hand together. I'm looking for Talisman would let me cast Karna Ring turn 2. Obviously, Power Plant or Expedition Map would be great. Well, how about none of the above? Honestly, don't think I want any of those. I'm just so far away from casting any of them. So let's just get a fresh draw. And then we still end up with a turn 3 Karn or the Ring, depending on what my opponent is playing, but definitely not as good. Okay, so it looks like we're up against Storm here. Bit awkward, but I'm happy to be on the play here since it means potentially I could Karn for Tormod's Crypt, and if they're relying on this treasure token, they shouldn't be because it will be turned off by Karn. So yeah, I'm going to go for Karn into Tormod's Crypt. And hopefully between shutting off that treasure token and this crypt, it will hopefully keep me alive till next turn. And then next turn I could even Karn for a Chalice on 2. Or Karn for Trinisphere, depending on what I want to do. It looks like they're just going for the Surveil land kind of setup for maybe next turn. Desperate Ritual. Ren's Resolve. Okay, so they did find a Wish. That might be able to find a answer next turn. Oh wow, and I just drew a power plant? That's actually kind of crazy here. So, trying to think. I can do Karn for Chalice on 2, then play the One Ring. I could also Karn for Trinisphere and One Ring. I think knowing that they have this Wish, I think I'm going to go for a Trinisphere here because the Wish can go get a Static Prison, and then I'm kind of... if I have a Chalice on 2, they just Wish for that Static Prison, the Chalice, and then we're back where we started. So I think I'm pretty happy with just going for that. I'm going to go ahead and cast this Talisman first so I don't lock myself out of casting that accidentally. Alright, grab a Trinisphere, cast a One Ring, draw a card. Alright, and with that, I'll pass turn. I have lots of hate cards. Can you beat them? When it goes for a Ral, I will draw a couple cards here. And I mean, not too much that I can do here. I think I'm just going to go ahead and cast a Chalice on 2. Seems like maybe a bit of overkill, but I also don't really have too much to do. So new Karn. Grab a Chalice. Alright, and that's enough for my opponent. They were not going to be able to cast much of anything in that game, so... I think against Storm, I actually kind of want Stonebrain and Trinisphere. Stonebrain grabbing the Wish or grabbing their wishes is going to be usually their main win condition. So I'm going to go ahead and trim a cookbook and trim a couple Allah's Dusts. Actually, trim one Allah's Dust, trim one Emrakul. Just trim down to fit all these in. And then yeah, at the very least, I can also, don't know necessarily if I'll see anything other than a wish. Okay, this is kind of an interesting hand. So I could Stone Brain turn 3, but that might be too slow. I do have Devour. Kind of I think I'm probably gonna just keep this hand. I'm pretty with Devour. I mean, I've got Ugin's Labyrinth, I've got Expedition Map, I've got Urza's Tower, all things I would be happy to see. And even if I don't, I can probably just put pretty much any land on top with Devour, and then... Okay, so I did find a tower. I've already got a Stone Brain and a Trinisphere in hand, so kind of an easy choice here. Go ahead, do that. Then next turn probably just casting Stone Brain, and then turn 3. Hopefully I'm still alive, but if I am, then I will just go off, you know, exiling wishes, casting Trinispheres, that kind of thing. Okay, so they're setting up with a Ruby Medallion. That's definitely scary. But let's put some pressure on. Either combo off and kill me, or I will start picking apart your deck. All right. All right, here come the rituals. It's gonna be scary here for a little bit. Well, we wait to see if we get another turn. Reckless Impulse. Casting a Flage. Okay, so Flage out of the board is kind of interesting. Looks like probably just playing around something like the Stone Brain. Well, looks like do get to untap and... Oh, an Orim's Chant. That's sweet. Unfortunately for my opponent, they're not going to be able to Arena of Glory me out of this game because I have this Kozilek's command, and I would like to... Well, I could have still activated Stone Brain, huh? I was just like, oh, Rip Chain, oh, I can't do anything. That's pretty funny. It could end up mattering, actually. So I can do this for 5, so I can get all their non-lands out of the graveyard. Go ahead and do that. They've only got 1 card in hand, so I'm not super worried about getting stormed out here. Okay, so I'll put the talismans down. I don't have a green source unless I keep a talisman, so I'm going to put Seiju down. I think I'm okay with keeping both of these. Got Kozilek's command, can deal with this Ral, and then I've also got the One Ring for obvious reasons. So cast a Ral, Ring of Glory, and pass. Okay, so I'm not super concerned about Flage. So why don't I just go ahead and activate this. I'm going to name Wish and then take a look at the rest of their deck. See what else I need to be worried about. Okay, so they got just another Ral in hand. They've got one more Fillage, one more Autumn's Chant. I don't see any Grape Shots or anything, so it looks like just the Fillage is their win condition. So I will be happy to take their wishes here. And I think I'm just going to go ahead, Trinisphere, and cast the One Ring. Should be pretty tough for them to beat this. Even got a couple Devourer of Destinies to deal with the Rels and potentially Gigantha if they do that. Yeah, definitely feeling in control of this game now. So, do another Karn. I'm just going to go ahead, just cast one of these. Exile your Ral. Get a 6/6. Seems pretty good. Use their Scalding Tarn. They found their Flage. And then looks like a Ral coming down. All right, well, luckily I have Kozilek's command here, and I'm just gonna kind of end their day. Exile creature, exile cards from graveyards, and so now you have no Flages, you have no Rals on board, no cards in hand. Yep. Pretty happy with how that went. I'll go ahead and draw a few more cards. Got a couple Emrakuls now. Then let's see, I guess. Do I just cast Emrakul? Always feels a little sad to cast Emrakul for no value, but you know what? I'm gonna kill my opponent as fast as possible. And this is certainly one of the fastest clocks that this deck can put out. Alright, opponent, let's see what you can draw. And from what I saw when I looked at your deck, it was nothing. So, alright, my opponent agrees, and we're on to round 4. Alright, back for round 4 on the play. And this hand is a keep. I mean, I think any turn 3 Tron land is, or Tron hand is a keep, and we definitely got that. Even though there's not much else going on in the hand, just gotta put faith in the deck to get some good draws. Tron is definitely one of the best top decking decks ever, so I'm usually pretty comfortable with being in that situation. Let's see what my opponent can do with this Tameo here. If they can flip it early, then that could be pretty bad for me. Not really gonna have much interaction for a while. Okay, so it does look like it's the Jeskai Wizards version, not the blue-black Murktide list. And I'm gonna go ahead and cast this Karn. They've only got one blue up, so no counter spell available. Might have a Force or a Subtlety. And they do. But, you know, pitching a card out of their hand and then getting rid of subtlety, and I'm going to put this back on top. Still seems like a pretty good draw to me. And I also get to cast the rest of my hand. Don't know how relevant all these cards are going to be, but you know, they're all playing their part. Let's see what we're gonna do here. It's kind of an interesting spot. I'm always a bit worried about invert polarity playing against these control players, since if they steal Karn or they steal an Emrakul, it's so bad for me. And you know, it's not you know, it's not really beatable, to be honest, if they have an invert polarity and then win the flip. But you know, it's also usually only a 1, maybe 2 of in their deck, so it's probably worth just jamming here. And then my opponent is also thinking, so they might be also looking at casting a Flage or something. Maybe they don't have an answer to Karn, or maybe they just have another pitch spell. Okay, so they go for a Flame of Anor to flip their Tameo. Fair enough. And now I'm definitely casting Karn now. Let's see. Do they have anything? They do not. Well, with all this mana, I'm going to grab a Leveler, I think, and kill this Tameo. Also get a big old threat in play. I'll actually... now that I see Sundering Titan floating around there, I think I'm gonna call an audible and just blow up all their lands. That seems like a pretty good play to me. No lands, can't activate the clues. Tameo's dead next turn. Game 2. Alright, I think against the wizard control player, I'm gonna bring in Trinispheres over the Stone Brains. Alright, and then, yeah, just kind of force them to play a little bit fair with all their pitch cards. And all his dust is actually much better than in this matchup than it is against the non-wizard control decks. You know, obviously, the sweeper versus control deck is never that great, but against the other decks, some of them only have Flage as the only color permanent that you could make them sacrifice. And it's just very slow, very bad. But the wizard deck, at least, you know, they have Tameo that you want to answer, and they have Snapcaster and all that stuff. So, you know, I think this hand is probably a keep. I think if this was not against wizards, I would probably mulligan this, but you know, this is pretty much the only deck that I would keep this against, but I think it's worth it. So I'm gonna go ahead, play a temple here. Would you like to counter this cookbook? No, they just tune the narrative. Fair enough. Be ramping the old-fashioned way. All right, nice. So we can start getting Tron online, hopefully. Opponent wisely decides not to counter the Talisman, which is fair enough. But this does let me Karn or cast the Ring next turn. Let's see if they... I'm not tapping out. So I think I'm just going to go for casting an Expedition map. And then if they counter this, I'll go for Trinisphere. Alright. Would have liked to be able to get Tron, but I mean, definitely happy to get the veto out of their hand and then also resolve Eternosphere. It's going to make things a lot more awkward for them going forward since they can't tap out and still leave up interaction. So I'm at 5 mana here. Do I want to cast something into the counterspell, or do I want to let them potentially Flame of Anor? I think I'm just going to go ahead and pass this turn, see what they do. Okay, so they do nothing. This turn is the turn I would be more scared, since they could, you know, get a wizard into play and Flame of Anor on the same turn. Okay, so they get a Charmaw. That's definitely bad for me. But they can't counter anything, so I guess I'll just go ahead and I think cast a ring here. Tisk tisk, opponent. Casting 2-mana spells into Eternosphere. It's not going to work out too well. So definitely good to get this ring down. See if they have a way to answer it. A lot of times these Wizards lists don't. They, you know, obviously could be playing a Teferi or something, but you know, they can't prismatic ending it. They can't Flage me. Just getting that in the graveyard, I guess. Okay, and then they're tapping out of counterspell mana again. Interesting. Okay, so I could actually let's see, I've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Kozilek's command mana. I could Karn and have 2 mana left over, which means I can't cast anything. So I think I'm just going to go ahead, Kozilek's command, exile Charmaw, exile Flage. It's a bit weird since I'm not actually gaining too much out of that, but you know, they're just not going to have a clock after this. And I still have the 1 ring, so go ahead and cast this. Exile your resources. At least the non-land resources. As long as my opponent is still stuck on 5 lands, I think I'm in really good shape. Especially if they keep casting spells and not leaving up any counters. They get a Tamiyo down, so probably I would imagine looking at a Flame of Anor next turn. Okay. So I can cast a Karn and a Kozilek's command for 1 to exile Tamiyo. Sure, that seems reasonable to me. I love having the ring on 3 counters at 17 life. And then it's just like, okay, well, next turn I'm just going to be able to draw 4 cards, and it doesn't matter that, you know, anything else is going on. Let's see, do I want to grab Sundry Titan or Liquid Metal Coating? I think for now I might just go with a coating here. Oops. gonna discard a card. Just gonna do this. Yeah, I say I think I have enough cards. So I'm just gonna make a spawn and then exile this Tameo. Not that I don't know if this would necessarily do too much against me, but if they flip it, it's gonna be annoying, and it also gives them potentially a 2-mode Flame of Anor to kill Trinisphere, draw 2 cards or something. Fortunately for them, still missing their land drops. Wow, and all of that, I couldn't find a power plant. But, I guess I'm just kind of casting this map, huh? I can have 7 mana, do this, and still have 7 mana up afterwards. Actually, 8 mana with the spawn. Alright, so let's go for coding. That's one they know about. They Galvanic Discharge Karn in response. Well, I've got bad news, opponent. Got another one. So not only are they missing lands, but they're also losing lands, and they decide to pack it in. All right, after losing round 1, going to 3-1 feels pretty good. So let's see if we can finish it off strong. All right, back for round 5. Trying to get the 4-1 here, and get the play. All right, well, I think this is going to be a mulligan here. Not really too much going on in that hand. Not really too much going on in this hand either, honestly. I'm just going to 5. Not a great start to the 4-1 attempt. I mean, this hand I can keep, but I can cycle this Kozilek's Command. You know what? Oh, I guess I do have this Devour. I think I've got to keep it with this. See if I can find a Labyrinth or something. Okay, I did find a Labyrinth. So, pretty happy with that. It's going to make things a lot easier with this Kozilek's Command. It's hard to know what my opponent is on based off just Gigantha nowadays. It used to be, for a while it was just Ruby Storm, but recently so many decks have started playing it that, it's like, it could be a bunch of different things. Even now, it could, with this Air Mist, it could be potentially like Boros Energy playing Gigantha. Definitely would not mind playing against Boros Energy. That is a really good matchup for Tron. Just, I mean, you get a 2-for-1 off the Amped Raptor into an Ocelot Pride. Cool. I'll cast a Devourer of Destiny. Especially since they've gone away from the Boom Bust White Orchid Phantom plan. But okay, well, it looks like it is against Boros Energy. Johnny coming down. Kind of interesting spot here. So I'm definitely making spawns with the Kozilek's Command. So I want to be able to cast the ring next turn. I think the question is, do I exile a Johnny or do I scry? I think I'm just going to go ahead and exile a Johnny. I think I'm going to trust the ring will draw me the cards that I need, and then Just want to make sure that they don't get up to... If they flip Ajani next turn, I'm not necessarily that close to being able to deal with that. So it could be a bit scary. Okay, I did draw another temple, so I guess I guess I was close to answering the Ajani all along with the Devourer, but I think I'm just gonna go ahead, cast the ring here, save the Devourer for something else that's a little bit more threatening than this cat token. And I'm able to go for... I mean, if I draw it, I can cast an Emrakul next turn, which is pretty sweet. When it shocks in a Sacred Foundry, I'll take it since I have protection. And maybe a Fable. I'd be pretty happy to exile a Fable with the Devourer. Oh, a Blood Moon. Wow, main deck Blood Moon. That's spicy. Alright, well, good thing I had these spawns. Next turn, I can devour that. Got an expedition map as well. One thing with this list versus other Eldrazi Tron lists is you're not playing a waste. I think the main reason for that is to obviously you can cast Beseiju, and then you can also fetch the forest off of Beseiju. You can't fetch a waste if somebody Beseijus your land, which can be pretty awkward. But you know, it can definitely create some tension here in situations like this where I could potentially want a waste. But luckily my opponent has also just locked themselves out of white mana. And maybe they have a discharge or something. If they don't kill one of my spawns, then I'm going to be in pretty great shape next turn. I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab a Beseiju here. I've got a lot of mana already, and I kind of want a little bit of insurance against another Blood Moon, if they have it. And then I can... Okay, so they do end up killing my spawn. So definitely glad I grabbed a Beseiju here. If I draw a... Okay, expedition map works. So I can go grab the forest now. And then I'll have Beseiju up. Might start discarding some cards to get food. I'm going to be going to 11 this turn, and I don't really want to be caught in a situation where I'm low on life, especially with this ring hitting me every turn. Kind of funny that my opponent still doesn't have white mana, I guess, until they attack with this Goblin Shaman. One is tanking a bit on this. Okay, so they discard a Johnny and a Bolt. They got 2 new cards in hand. Blade would be pretty scary. I think if they they could Flage post-combat off the treasure token, and so that in that case I'd be going down to 5 next turn. I could see just going for a Kozilek's Command, exile Flage out of the graveyard, and then make a bunch of spawns that can chump block. And okay, so they do that. So I'm gonna sacrifice in response so they don't get any energy. And it seems like they were thinking along the same lines as me, where this spawn is probably worth just trading it for 2 life. Opponent cashing in their white mana. Indeed do have a Flage. All right, I mean, this is gonna be a kind of a close one. Getting kind of low on life here. And still no Tron lands in sight. Or no complete Tron sets, I guess I should say. So let's go for Beseiju. Unlock my mana. Also unlocking my opponent's white mana, but you know, gotta do what you gotta do. I'm gonna go ahead and discard a Labyrinth here. Pretty happy to have the ability to gain 3 life, potentially. This is kind of interesting. Let's see. I guess I'm probably just drawing off the ring, because if I draw another ring, that makes my decisions a lot easier. Okay, did draw an Emrakul as well. Emrakul and a Karn. Very interesting draws. So I could... Let's see. How can I do this in a way that I don't die? I don't have a ring exiled. Don't have... So that's not an option. I could gain, so just thinking through the options, I could gain 6 life off of the food, and that would put me up to, so that puts me up to 11. I go down to 7 for sure, probably 4 from the Flage, and then 4 more. I would be dead, but I would be also casting Emrakul in that scenario. Emrakul is a bit risky since they would probably try to cast... They wouldn't necessarily cast Flage pre-combat. So I would need to flash in Emrakul before combat, and then they might still have a Flage to burn me out. So I'm just going to go ahead and start by getting a Labyrinth down, and then I can exile this Devourer. I think my best course of action here is I can Kozilek's Command, make exile Flage, make a couple spawns, then I can block with those spawns, make in either gain a few life, probably gaining life with the food. I could potentially cast an Emrakul too, depending on, you know, if they have a card left in hand, or if I'm not worried about bolts. see what my opponent has. If they have anything end of turn too. They don't think they're not really playing Phelias usually, but if my opponent is on that, then it would be good to know about too. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, exile cards from graveyards, make a bunch of spawns. I could exile one of their creatures, but you know, I don't think it's necessarily going to be or like meaningfully different than just making a bunch of spawns and then just chump blocking. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm leaving up 4 mana here so I can crack 2 foods. I guess I could have just made more spawns as well, since I can sacrifice those to make foods. Maybe that was a mistake. Okay, so they dash Ragavan, which means that I'm pretty free to just cast this Emrakul. The most they could have is 1 bolt. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, there we go. Can't tap the forest for colorless, but I will take your creatures. So yeah, the most they can have is 1 bolt here, and I have food that I can activate right now, and then also I can activate another food, or 2 more foods actually on my upkeep. So kind of funny to see the Ragavan go from my side to their hand. I'm going to go ahead and just crack a food now. Use my mana efficiently. Go back down to 4. And then, I mean, I really would like to draw another ring, but I can. All right, looks like I might be getting rid of this with Karn, and my opponent is wrapping it up, which makes sense. Not really much of a chance I could lose that game, I think. So swapping out Stone Brains for Trinispheres. You know, there's not really, with the kind of mid-range style of Boros Energy, it's not really going to be a deck that's going to be hurt a lot by exiling something out of it. Even exiling Flage is not necessarily going to be backbreaking to it. Whereas, you know, forcing them to pay 3 for all of their 1 mana interaction, all their Amp Raptors, it's going to be a bit more impactful. But yeah, I mean, I think that game was kind of the reason that I say that it's a good matchup for Tron versus Boros Energy. You know, like, they had a decent hand. My hand was not very fast at all. Like, I didn't have Tron. I couldn't really do any crazy plays. They had a Blood Moon. They had a clock. They had all these things, and it just didn't matter. Like, there's just nothing that they did that I really cared about. Okay, so I think I'm going to keep this hand. With I got 2 Ugin's Labyrinths that I can imprint. onto, and then so I'll have 4 mana there, plus I'll get a map down. And you know, Devourer of Destiny is really nice just to smooth out these openers. See what my opponent has. Definitely, I mean, knowing that they have Blood Moon in their deck is definitely scary. It's going to be something I'm going to be watching out for sure. Wouldn't really hate even getting a Kozilek's Command just purely for the spawns. And then also, you know, Kozilek's Command can also deal with Ragavan. Okay, so I found a Kozilek's Command, found a Karn, found a Talisman. I guess I'm just taking Kozilek's Command here. Could be nice to get a turn 2 Karn, though. Turn 2 Karn, but also can't cast anything with the Karn just yet. You know what? I think I'm going to go for... I think I am going to go for a Kozilek's Command here. Then I can... you know, it does open me up a little bit if they have a turn 2 Blood Moon. They have it in their opener. But I don't think there's really much I could have done to get around that, since, you know, if I take Karn, then I'm back to just casting at turn 4 potentially. And if they don't have it exactly turn 2, then I could potentially get him with a Kozilek's Command here. Opponent exiles a Trinisphere off of Ragavan, which I would absolutely love if they cast. I would be so happy. But it looks like they're not going to do that. I'm contemplating their other options. Okay, go with an Ajani here, which makes sense. Okay, well, after all that talk about Karn, he decides to show up anyway. I think I'm gonna go ahead and just cast the Kozilek's Command here. I'm not sure exactly what modes I'm gonna pick yet, but definitely going to be making some spawns. I think in this case, I'm going to be exiling the Ragavan. I want to make these spawns, and I want to kind of keep them around for either Karn next turn, or in case they have a Blood Moon. And if I don't exile the Ragavan, then I'm going to want to block it, because I really don't want them to just get a bunch of treasures and stuff. But I'm perfectly happy taking 3 from Ajani and his friend. You know, still at a healthy 15. Gonna have 5 mana next turn. Actually, 7 mana next turn on turn 3. So what my opponent has. Just a Fable. Druid Devourer of Destiny. Kind of an interesting draw here. I kind of like it though. I'm gonna be probably just go ahead and cast this. I can exile Fable, and then I have a big ol' blocker in play to protect my Karn next turn. And they really can't. They would really need 2 removal spells to kill it, unless they have a Static Prison, So I mean, they could easily have it, but not necessarily the easiest thing for them to have. Guide of Souls. Okay, so they might be able to get a flying attacker here. Okay, second of Johnny is pretty sweet. I believe after all of this, they'll have 5 creatures. So they could just, they can't quite kill my Devourer, but they can just dome me for 5 and then jump a creature with the Guide of Souls and put me down to like 6-ish, which is pretty rough for me. Definitely was not something that I wanted to see. Okay, so they make another cat. Assuming they're going after me. Yeah. Makes sense. So unfortunately I had to get rid of imprint this Emrakul, since I would have, if this was in my hand right now, I had something else imprinted, that would be awesome. Just had the potential to draw a colorless land and steal their board. But here they come. Put me down to 6. Definitely a precarious position to be in. Drew a power plant. Alright. This list does not play any explosives, which would definitely be, if I could, that would definitely be the pick here. So they're going to be able to attack me again with Johnny. And then... Well, I think this might be going to game 3. Looking at all my options, I've only got 2 mana with the Karn to do anything. And I don't have many great options. I can grab a Haywire Mite as just a blocker, but they can just come with flyers. At this point, I can Pithing Needle Karn, or sorry, Pithing Needle Ajani. But if they have any creature, I still just die to that, even if I make... Yeah, because I can block 1 creature and then they just attack for more. So, alright, moving on to game 3. That second of John need to flip and just hit me for 5, it was pretty brutal, but I think if I had maybe 1 more mana, 1 more card in hand, I might have been able to piece something together. But it's the way it goes. Sometimes go on the draw, and you lose by a turn. So gonna be running it back. Same sideboard plan here. See if I can get a good hand to start things off with. Yeah, this hand doesn't look great to me. Just playing turn 1 Cookbook, turn 2 Talisman. It's not really that great of a start here. This hand also not great of that great of a start. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and mull to 5. Okay. I guess I'm keeping this. If I didn't have this Devour, I would be mulliganing this hand. But I do have it, so I will be keeping. And then I think I'm gonna keep the ring. It seems generally better than Karn in this matchup. Okay, well, I will be keeping the Labyrinth here. I was looking for lands and I found the best one. So this will let me do a turn 2 ring. I also have Kozilek's Command in case I need that. Okay, so I have turn 1 Ragavan again. Going to exile Devour, cast a Talisman, pass the turn. So let's see what my opponent has here. It'd be attacking with Ragavan, makes sense. Opponent exiles a power plant. Wouldn't have minded drawing that, but got 4 mana regardless. Amped Raptor. Let's see what they hit. They got with this hub they can hit anything. Yeah, they do hit a Flage. So either hub doing good work there. So I'm gonna go ahead. This turn I can cast the ring and get Safe Haven for a turn. Ooh, Urza's Tower is a great draw. Kind of funny with that. If that Ragavan attack hadn't happened, I would have had power plant and tower on top. All right, so I get to draw another Kozilek's Command. Not a bad draw. I definitely see a turn next turn, maybe, you know, making some spawns, exile a creature, exile Flage, something like that. This this ring is definitely the only reason I'm even in this game at all. Okay, so another Amp Raptor. Let's hope they hit another 3-drop, since they can't cast it this time. Well, they do hit something they can cast. This Ajani. Well, can I get a power plant and an All's Dust off the top? That'd be pretty sweet. I would definitely appreciate that. Like my opponent is pretty far away from escaping Flage. Okay, Cookbook is not really what I needed here. But Eldrazi Temple is not bad. I'm going to be casting a giant Kozilek's Command. I think making a bunch of spawns and potentially exiling this Ajani here. Kind of want to wait and see if they try to play a second Ajani to Legend Rule. But regardless, I'll be casting this guy. So I'm gonna be making spawns. I think exile Ajani It's just so bad if it flips for me. So make 5 spawns. And honestly, probably blocking all 4 creatures. I've got another Kozilek's command, so I can do that. Are they flipping the Rajani in response? Oh, they're reprieving. Oh, wow. Wow, that's brutal. Oh my gosh. So I go to 5 here. I'm going to 3 off the ring. Oh my gosh. Well, Reprieve is a great card, great addition to this deck, especially in this matchup. I was not expecting that. Okay, did hit Tron. Well, I'm gonna be trying to draw another ring. Okay, cool. Did draw a new ring. And then gonna be trying to gain some life here with the cookbook. And let's see, I can Kozilek's command for 5. I think I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm gonna do this now because I don't want them to be able to draw a bolt. Actually, I do have protection, so I can wait. Well, in that case, would it be better to just cast a Devour? Interesting. So I could, I guess the main advantage of casting a Kozilek's command would be to dig very deep in my deck without having to tap the ring. But the Devour obviously is just a strong card no matter what. I think I'm going to go ahead and just cast the Kozilek's command here. The main reason being that if I can find an All Is Dust or an Emrakul, then those could just be straight up game winning on their own. Whereas the Devour, you know, I can exile a Johnny, but not necessarily going to be the greatest play for me. Oh, Oscar is making an appearance in the background there. Hey, you want to come say hi? Let's see if he wants to stay with me. Nope. Sometimes he's cute and cuddly. Sometimes you pick him up and he instantly sprints away. Cats will be cats, you know? Right, so opponent is figuring out their turn here. Puts a card on top. Interesting. It's kind of interesting just because would put them closer to Flage. But certainly not unhappy to see that. Just a Fable and pass. So I'm going to be making some spawns. Oh no, I can't do it. Wow. Okay, well, I'm sure people watching were yelling at me while I was considering this. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and use my mana while I can to just clear out Flage, clear out Ajani. Feel a bit silly for getting that, but can at least make some impact on the board. Go ahead and discard this temple. And crack the food. Do I draw with the ring? I think yes. I still can fog with this other Kozilek's command now that I am losing protection. I can, you know, this feeds more food for the cookbook. Okay, so drawing a lot of Devourer of Destiny is not really what I wanted to see here. So I can cast a Devourer of Destiny, and I can also cast a Kozilek's command for 5 or for 6. I think that makes sense. Get this beefy boy running. I think I'd take out the Goblin Shaman. I do die to 2 bolts, but don't necessarily think that's a 4 of in their deck. And more likely that they're going to have a sorcery speed like Flage that would fill that role. I can also... Yeah, I guess I can't quite Kozilek's command and leave up 2 mana to instant speed grab a food. Alright, so now I will be doing this. Do they have double bolts? Oh, man. Oh, that's so lame. No! Oh, that's brutal. Yeah, I think if if they didn't have double bolt there, that would have been you know, a pretty easy win, I think. Guess I could have potentially... Oh no, I guess I don't know why I thought I had to spend all of my mana. I could have definitely left up, done this X4 and still blocked and then done that. So I guess that was a mistake. Sorry for the punt to end that there, and then drawing the Emrakul, so would have been able to lock it up pretty easily. It's unfortunate. Still ended up with 3-2. I've really been loving this list. I think it's got a lot of good advantages. Nothing really crazy off this treasure chest here. But yeah, got a lot of, I think, advantages that other Tron decks, Tron builds that I've seen don't have. In that, I just love the power level. Love that, you know, you're going in on this cookbook Emrakul plan that you can get off by turn 3. The talismans, casting a turn 2 Karn or Ring is really strong. So definitely liking that. If you play a little bit tighter than I have this league, then you probably put up some good results with it. So let me know in the comments if you have anything that you'd like to see, or if you want to roast me for my misplays. I'm open to hearing that as well. So until then, I'll see you guys next time.